This is a great thing, because if you were called Skywalker, I then get to avail the opportunity and say, "These are not the bonds you're looking for," and there is the ninja sitting with his coffee. Although, yeah, no.
A Jedi and a ninja.
Jedi and a ninja are about to do a podcast, so let's stop that one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another E5 podcast. Wherever you're listening, thanks for joining us. And I am joined today by
David, aka Spark Ninja.
And we welcome back someone who we trust a hell of a lot. Who could that be?
It's Luke Wichard from My Trusted Electrician.
Luke Wichard, our trusted electrician. Thank you for joining us again for another one of these podcasts. We've had you on one, and we enjoyed it so much, we thought we'd drag you back in and do another one.
Thank you very much.
Now, this one we're going to talk about a couple of things that are quite engaging for us. But, Dave, I'm going to let you lead on this grilling.
Well, yeah. Cheers. I'm a very bad administrative person in that I do everything manually with regards to invoices, estimates, and all that stuff. And I met Luke at the Lex exhibition, and we got chatting in the short time we had with each other. And he started telling me about all these methods that he's got that, you know, over time he's kind of tried out, and he's got these virtual receptionist kind of things. And I've seen these things, and I've always been approached by companies that offer these services for invoicing and all that stuff. And I've always been lacking commitment, because I've always wondered as to what the outcome of that is. And Luke kind of exploded with a lot of information for me, which I didn't really get to retain because we were so busy at Alex. So I thought I'd like to kind of have that as a conversation piece to start this podcast off, really. So a bit of background with me, Luke, is right now I still today am emailing works orders, and I'm receiving POs, and I'm creating manually estimates and invoices, and I'm doing the work, and I'm manually putting them into a spreadsheet, and I'm manually adjusting all of that stuff. And then when it comes to tax time, I'm kind of just shutting the door and not letting anyone speak to me for 24 hours while I try and do all that stuff myself as well. Obviously, you've over time decided to automate some of these processes. So I was wondering, as to how you did that, or what services you're using now, what you've maybe tried and hasn't worked, etc. How have you kind of decided to do that?
It's hard to explain that in a linear sense, because it just sort of explodes in many different directions. A lot of it is trial and error, trying to find things that work and things that don't work. A lot of things that do help is I'm a massive podcast and audiobook listener. One audiobook that springs to mind is the 4-Hour Workweek. Have you read that one?
I've got that book on my bedside. I haven't started reading it yet. It's the next book I'm reading.
You were going to say the E5 podcasts, but
and that as well.
That as well. No, that's funny. I've got that book on the bedside, and it's the next one I'm reading, because I've just read the Rich Dad Poor Dad one.
I've not read that one.
Which is it's pretty good. It's about turning your money, investing your money into assets and things. But that 4-Hour Workweek is the next one on my list. That's great.
Not every chapter sort of relates to everyone, but there is always little bits that you can take away from it. And to be honest, I think a lot of this isn't so much do this, do that. It's a formula, and you just need to try and figure out what it is in your company, in your life. Well, I mean, you got your X times Y equals Z. What your X and Y is.
So I feel like I'm missing out here, because recently everybody's talking about all these books and audible books they're reading and listening to. I got given a book once called The Chimp Paradox, which I just hated, and Will It Make the Boat Go Faster? And I just saw it as a bit of a motivational tosh. Yeah. I mean, the only other podcasts I listen to other than ours for sense checking it is Dave's and EGTE, really. But other than that, am I missing something here, guys?
You know what, Paul, there are so many things out there, and a lot of them are just repeating what the other guys are saying in a slightly different way. I think, I've heard one person say one phrase and it stuck with me. It made a lot of sense. It says, if you're doing the same task repeatedly, if you're doing that same task more than once, you need to do one of two things. You need to either delegate it or automate it.
Oh, that's a good one.
Someone out there that will do that job. Or software that will do it cheaper than you.
One of the guys that I follow online, James Sinclair, one of the things he says is when you run your own business, the first thing you should do is get to a position where you can sack yourself.
Oh, I like that.
That's it. That's another one as well. Like, for instance, you should not be the biggest cog. A business should be a machine with multiple cogs, like a Rolex watch. It should not have one cog. If you are the only cog in there and that cog breaks, the machine breaks. If you have multiple little cogs, if one of those cogs was to disappear, you could probably limp by it and replace it later on.
Now, I've actually said in virtually every job I've had for the last 10 years, my ultimate goal, if I'm here for a long period, is to sack myself. Because I want the infrastructure I'm managing or engineering or responsible for to effectively run itself. So it's nice to know that I'm in the similar mindsets to these people writing books. So that's good. Anyway, sorry, continue, please.
What's that? There's another book actually. He's actually written quite a few. The E-Myth. He says something like that about sacking yourself. If you are in a company where you are the business, then it was always like a one-man job basically. If you are the business, and there's like some very good speakers out there who are earning lots of money, but they are the business, because when they can never delegate it to someone else. They can never say, oh, when I get to this level, I can step back and pass it on. They are the business. And like you said, you want to get to a stage where you can sack yourself. You want to be in a stage where you can step back and the business just flows. I don't know, where are we going with this?
Well, we were talking about obviously when you chose to do things and you chose to do some parts automated, and you said it's not very linear. And you started talking about the books, and you recommended the 4 hour week.
Okay, so let me start off by saying that if you used to look at my business at the moment, I mean, I'm not no multi-millionaire business at the moment. It's just me. We've got a few other people, and that some of them are part-time and some of them are virtual, and then you've got Tommy who's just joined as well. You could not take the system I have in place today and use it last year because I wasn't in the right predicament. It's like I said, with a machine with many cogs, you can't just replace one cog at a time. One cog might turn several cogs, and you have to put it in place. And it's such a time moving at such a. It's like trying to jump off the bus whilst it's moving and not falling over. It is juggling. And I've also got steps in place ready for maybe next year when things are going. So I'll give you an example. Last year, I was using a lot of different apps. One of them was called Calendly, which I don't use anymore. But Calendly was an app which allowed me to get people, if I was to give them links, to book things into a Google Diary. I don't use this method anymore, but at the time, Calendly didn't cost a lot of money.
Right.
And I managed to set it up in such a way that I had links on my website. I had links in other places. I had pre-made templates in my phone as text messages with the whole message set out. And as people contacted me, as I didn't have time to reply whilst I was working, pardon me, I could quite easily just send them a text message or send them an email which was templated with this link in. They would click it and they could book themselves a 4-hour slot in my diary.
So it's like a consolidated booking system that you could refer them to use.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, it did have flaws. I mean, someone could always book a 4-hour slot in the middle of the day, and sometimes you wouldn't get that 2-hour slot in the middle. Sorry, that 2-hour slot at the beginning or the end, and you would lose work that way. But by being quick and responding quick, I was winning more jobs.
Right.
And through doing that, I was earning enough money to get myself prepared for the next step. Whereas at the moment, I actually have a virtual assistant. I've actually talked to these guys before and said, is there any sort of advertising you'd want me to do to promote you? Because you've done such a great job for me. And they're actually so flat out at the moment. They've actually said, don't mention us because we can't take on any more work. But what they're actually, you get a thing called a VA, because there's a lot of tasks that you do that they don't actually have to be in the same office as you. They reply to all my emails. They answer my phone. They respond to. I'll come back to it later on, but I have a method of people ringing me, and that phone call turning into an email to which they pick up and then they ring that person back again. They respond to that. They book all my jobs into my diaries for me. They do have they can do quotations, although I don't use them for that. I'm just a little bit pernickety and I like to write my own quotations up. But this VA company are actually made from ex-electrical wholesaler managers and some old sparks. So they actually have some electrical knowledge. and it does help when they're on the phone to a customer. They know roughly how long a job should take. They got like a little bit of fault finding knowledge. They know roughly how long to put on a job if there's a bit of fault finding, and that would really help. But again, that's something I probably couldn't have done last year because I didn't have enough work coming in to pay for them.
Right. So, I mean, I take it they take a percentage of every booked
They
job.
do. Yeah. So they have a fixed monthly rate that I have to pay them as a minimum, and then they take 5% of my overhead, including materials. So whatever, if I was to charge someone £100, including labour and materials, they take 5% of that, which isn't that daunting. When all you've got to think about is all I've got to do every time I invoice someone, just add an extra 5% to it, because the extra 5% isn't much.
No.
You know,
I mean that's. I mean, and so they do take care of a lot of the to and fro. Technically, sometimes you don't have to, other than your quote, you don't really have to take any other part of the process for other than you going to a job. Is that right?
No, it's absolutely fantastic. And even the customers have said as well that I'm the only Sparks that's got back to them straight away and things like that. I find if you are a jobbing electrician or like some sort of small self-employed electrician, and you're getting these calls coming in, and you're paying to advertise, and you're in Checker Trade, and you're in magazines, and you're in these different things, and people are ringing you. If you do not answer your phone, they don't just sit there and go, "Oh, I'll give it an hour and see if he rings me back." They'll literally within 30 seconds just ring the next guy. And so to pay for someone to answer that phone instantaneously and say, "Yeah, we are interested. Just sit tight. We're going to get Sparks to call you back." They will wait, and you will win that job. You've only got to win, one job a month, and it probably pays. It pays for the virtual assistant anyway.
Yeah, because I deliver training as well, so I can't exactly take a phone call in the middle of a session.
Yeah.
So I rely so much on my voicemail, and many calls don't give a voicemail. So I should imagine they probably would move on to the next person they found or something. So I do need to look into this as a potential idea.
Yeah, I can testify to that. Sometimes I have to send flares up to get Dave to answer his phone. No, can I just say, just listening in on that, fascinating, because you're absolutely right. I mean, if I ever went back as a self-employed Sparks again, that would be probably my number one worry: is how do I keep the work coming in? And again, I'm not a technophobe, but I didn't even realize you can get virtual assistants that would do all that sort of stuff. And because I remember over 20 years ago, my first year of college, before I got my first job, my college lecturer, Paul Webb, God love him, and if you ever listen to this, I love you dearly, he got me a job with this absolute villain working in mansion refurbs, and he took me to the CAF in Battersea. And there was a Greasy Spoon Cafe in Battersea where every single trade did their business. And that was it. That's how you did your business for the week.
Yeah.
And then mobiles were obviously coming prevalent. You could ring up. But other than that, it was, you'd leave your home number, your office number, your admin would do it. But having an automated virtual assistant, that's just mind-blowing how much work that could generate.
But I think what we need to think about now is how we do retail. We go to a checkout, we expect maybe to be able to do the transaction, the purchase, and the scanning ourselves, scan as you shop. Amazon and things like that, we're getting very impatient, and I should imagine a lot of the customers for the trades are like that as well. If some trades actually deliver a platform that is a lot more automated, is just putting the client at that point where they go, I am approaching you and I'm getting the response, and I know when they want this information straight away. They don't want to wait around for return calls backwards and forwards.
I can relate as well. I think there's nothing worse than not knowing. And I mean, even if you did have to wait, so long as someone says, look, we're going to be 2 hours, just that is golden. Just to know, it's going to be 2 hours, but at least I know they're going to call me. If no one answers the phone, it's overwhelming. You don't know what to do. You're just naturally going to ring the next guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm realizing I'm such an asshole right now because I just leave it, and I sometimes don't call people back for days. I'm such an ass.
Yeah, I mean,
Dave, you are an ass.
You can setting up templates on your phone of you can get apps and you can just make loads of templated messages up.
Really?
Yeah, and you could just sort of surely once you're, I mean, for instance, for me, if anyone wants to contact me, it's either because they want a quote, something's gone wrong, and they, can you come and fix this right now? Or they've got like an electrical question. That's the only 3 things they're ever going to get, and you could probably split those 3 things into 3 things. But it's always going to be roughly. I mean, you get the odd rare one, like the unicorn question, but they're always going to be roughly the same thing. So you can almost make templates up and just resolve any of those questions. If you're always doing the same job, it's always going to be roughly the same question. You can just make a template up, even if you have to change one word each time. And it just saves so much time.
Yeah, I suppose that's it. It's the efficiencies now, isn't it? It's the more efficiencies you get, the better process you have, the more money you've got to make. And if you can have something automated and virtual, that again, you're Dave, you're right. 20 years ago, we never thought we'd be going to the shops and scanning our own stuff, or bagging and shopping and scanning at the same time. We never thought Amazon would be able to get anything we want delivered within 24 hours, even on a Sunday. You know, our purchasing and procurement habits have changed, but not necessarily our behaviors, other than our expectations. And why wouldn't people's expectations of electricians change?
Yeah, it's true. I really thought about it like that. We're sort of just trying to keep in line with the rest of society.
No, but, well, you're kind of ahead then, really. So a lot of electricians listening to this, hopefully, will be going, do you know what? I need to know more about this. How do I automate? How do I maximize my business? Because they won't want them ringing up the DIY Dave 75 quid down the road. They'll want a professional engagement, early engagement, a real person phone call as soon as you can, to give you the opportunity to make sure you're winning the work and doing the best of what you've got.
Yeah, I made loads of mistakes doing this. When I first started, I had a rough idea of what the machine should look like, but the hardest part was trying to find the cogs. And at one point, I knew I had to have a virtual assistant because I couldn't physically go out there with my hands and earn the money and do the paperwork. Some paperwork you can't wait till it doesn't wait till the evening. You have to do it there and then. So I had to have someone that could do it virtually. And the only way I could afford it was to get someone sort of off country, sort of South America or something, to answer the phones and do things like that. And I did approach a few people, and I'll be honest, it just really didn't work. I mean, if they were to call the customer, it would come from a foreign phone number. The time zones were wrong. There was some of the apps that we used didn't work, and it was just a pain in the arse. And I did sort of take a step back for a little while, which is why I went to Calendly. And I'll be honest, I am quite lucky because I was actually approached by the virtual assistant that I'm with at the moment. I didn't think they existed. I remember sitting down and saying to Vicky, "Look, I'm at a wall here, and I'm really worried about it. That every now and again I get a lot of work. I get bombarded with work, and it makes me so busy that I neglect all the paperwork side of things. And then there's just a desert of no work because I've neglected all the paperwork. I've done all the work that's in front of me. I've done no quotes. I've not answered any questions. I've not answered any phone calls, and now there's no work. And now I'm gonna have to spend a week with no work trying to chase people, ring them up, and trying to accumulate another couple of weeks worth of work in my diary." I said to her, "What do I do? I mean, I can't physically afford on my wage or do I get someone to just come to my house and sit behind my computer? I mean, I couldn't pay for that every day. And if I just did it one day a week, that's not going to answer the phone for the other 4 days a week. And it's weird having a stranger in my house. There's no way I can afford a little office. If I did afford a little office, how do I even know if they turn up to answer the phone? I'm not in there all the time." And I was just like, it's a grey area. How do I get around this? I need someone to answer the phone, but how do I do it? How do I monitor them? How do I judge it?
You're talking about the ultimate risk for anyone who's thinking or wanting to broaden themselves or go into the wide world of self-employment. A lot of people rely on their missus, their partners, but that may not be realistic because a lot of people have young families, or their partners are busy trying to develop and grow themselves and do their own commitments. And you don't want to be that person. I mean, for me, when I started, my missus bought me my very first toolbox. My very first toolbox was paid for by my missus, and she was working selling printer cartridges, telesales for Hewlett Packard. And when I got them first tools, I wanted to pay her back so much. I've paid her back tenfold since. But it's really important for it's that game of risk when you're going self-employed. You can't afford to be out of work for a month because you may have mortgage payments, rent payments, and when you're trying to be a breadwinner of a house, if you are the main breadwinner, the pressure on you is unbelievable. So to me, a virtual assistant, if you can find the right one and get what you want from it, it sounds almost like a no-brainer investment.
Yeah, you have to have everything in place. You can't just get a virtual assistant and not have a means of work coming in. So prior to me getting the virtual assistant, I obviously had to try different ways of acquiring work, monitoring it, and then being confident that I know it was always going to be at a minimum a certain amount of work each month. And then once I was happy with that, then I could go, all right, now I'm going to, like Paul said, take the risk, get a virtual assistant, and hopefully that minimum amount of work should cover the cost of that virtual assistant. Plus, hopefully, I should also, it's a double-sided sword. I should also hopefully not lose as much work when those calls do come in. Most of them will be yeses now because they're getting answered straight away. And, I'm lucky. It did actually work out that way. It's actually worked out really well. It's a podcast, so I can't show you my charts and things, but it's I think I looked at it recently. Compared to last year, we are at least 3 times more busy than we were last year.
Fantastic.
Yeah, at least.
That's exactly what you want.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of that is down to you being able to convert calls, I guess, isn't it? To actually accept them. I mean, I'd heard of these things, but I'd always thought of them as things for just small light shops. I do think of them for a niche such as an electrotechnical vocation. But it sounds like you've got a very unique one in that they are from that background. So that really is a bit of a unique thing. Because I've heard of them, but I never thought they'd actually have this much impact as what you described. That's really good. Did you try the likes of, or are you still with the likes of Checkertrade and such to drive the business? Yeah,
I am with Checkertrade, and I'll hold my hands up. So I do actually get a lot of work from Checkertrade. It is actually it's a very good. I don't only just look at what makes the phone ring, but I compare it to how much it costs me. I know a lot of people do really rant about Checkertrade, and I've no issues with it whatsoever.
I think a lot of the rants are down to the just price. There seems to be like the renewal prices seem to kind of
go up and up,
travel up.
It's always going to be cheaper than advertising and other means. And to be honest, the generation nowadays will always turn to Google before anything else. And Checkertrade seems to have won Google over it. Normally, it's always on the first page.
Have you thought about just interjecting? I know recently some people have jumped onto Which, their new trusted trader.
I'm with Which.
Are you with Which?
Got a certificate over there, and we've just bought some more uniform today, to which we've got the NIC. We were supposed to have the NIC badge on this one, which when we got it back from the embroidering company, it wasn't on there, and we didn't have time to take it back, so we've just lived about the NIC. Yeah. But I've incorporated the NIC with the Which because I found a lot of homeowners don't actually know who the NIC are.
Yeah, they won't. Yeah.
But I thought, I'm going to try the Which because I know a lot more people know what Which is than they do what NIC is.
Yeah, I think Which has got a much wider consumer awareness, isn't it?
And it also rhymes with his name, Luke Wichard. Which.
And it's actually called Which Trusted Traders.
Wichard.
Check it. I shouldn't really badmouth people. I know with Checkertrade, a lot of people can slip through the woodwork. They're not all great trades, and I've heard some horror stories, which is probably why some people moan about the prices going up. Which, however, you have got to jump through a lot of hoops with Which.
Yeah, I've heard.
I appreciate it. I mean, they ring me up out of the blue and I say, Leon, we've just randomly looked at your website. We don't like the way this is worded. We want you to change it. And I know that would probably get the rub the hairs the wrong way on a lot of people, but I appreciate that because it cuts the fat. I'd like to think people are quitting because of things like that, and there's a market for electricians on there. I like that, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some experience with these trusted trader type things, and they've always been bad. And again, it was finding gas engineers and plumbers for the houses that I've had over the years. And luckily, I ended up turning to Instagram to find the guys who put their work online. That for me is, I always say to people, go on social media, find the people who are not afraid to put their work online. Yeah. I mean, there are guys on Instagram who do commercial industrial family ones. It P. Burke and Sons, I think it is, up north. They're up in Newcastle, and they put all their work online on Instagram. Fantastic industrial family company, and all their Instagram account is about family, friendship, banter, and really good quality work, and it's just great to see. Shame they're up north, otherwise I'd probably be nicking them, doing work on my railway. But yeah, no, I've had some bad experiences with them. Again, I'm too probably distant from them, but then again, a lot of the I always say this, Dave knows this, for me it's the conduct to character, the passion, the drive of the individuals, more than the necessary registrations that they will hold. I had my trusted trader plumber come to my house. I had to throw him out at midnight. Really? Yeah, he was crap. It turned out he weren't gas qualified. He couldn't touch the boiler. The whole system was airlocked. He couldn't unairlock it. He was on the phone to his dad. And it was 25-year-old. It weren't great experience at
What
all.
was that? Oh, so it wasn't which trusted traders. It was
No, it was my Checker Trade. That was it, Checker Trade. Sorry,
Yeah.
Checker Trade. And that's what I found, a local guy, and he was just awful. But again, I shouldn't brand all of them with that brush, I suppose. But yeah,
No, it's. I mean, some get some bad ones get in for any organisation. You know, it's
True.
It's just part of the package. Really, I was more thinking a case of does it warrant the investment really?
Do you know, I'm wondering if one of the reasons I do so well on Checker Trade is because I have my videos on there. And I actually say in the first page that you go onto your portfolio page, it says, check out the videos, and there's a link to the video page.
Oh, so your videos are on your Checker Trade profile?
Not all of them. It takes a very long time to upload them, but they're on there because it's like you said, it's hard to find someone. And I could say I'm brilliant. I could write a great portfolio. I could get all my family to write reviews for me. I could nick loads of people's pictures and put them on there. But anyone could do that. But if I put a video on there, they go, oh, look, I want the shower replaced, and this guy's got a video of him changing a shower, and he's done a really nice job. I'm going to get this guy in.
Yeah. Do you know what I like about one of the things I like about your videos, Luke, is I find myself talking along. So when you're saying, I don't know if this is right, blah 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 blah, and you'll talk about saying, and I'll either be going, maybe not, and then I'll be going, yes, it is, it's bang on, you're spot on, keep going. I find myself really, really encouraging and talking into your videos. Dave's now thinking we're a proper weirdo, but I genuinely do with a lot of YouTube
it's
stuff.
It's the one when he rescued that bee and then kept him in his pocket that gets me every time.
Yeah.
I was hooked from that episode. I was like, right, I'm watching this guy every time.
Yeah, I mean, I've just watched the one where you put the cable tray up and you made sure you had spare capacity for the armoured and stuff, and yeah, so that was the one I think a week ago.
Yeah, it's sadly I couldn't video it going up. I wasn't there. Well, this because I didn't have Tommy with me. Luckily when I did my apprenticeship, I grew up alongside some other electricians who also went self-employed, and we all chip in. If someone's got a job that's too big for them, we'll all jump in together. And I think on the first couple of days when they had the old laser going around, I was putting the top hats on and the toggle fixings. I wasn't there. I just sort of turned up near the end, so I only got to sort of do the end results and fix their problems with the dodgy lights. That was a nice job, though. To be fair, there's not many warehouses that clean.
No,
there wasn't really one at all.
Very true. Right. Okay. So what's the name of the virtual assistant you use at the moment for everybody who's listening?
I don't think I'm allowed to. Maybe I'll have a word with him, and if he's happy with it, maybe we could put a link somewhere for it. But
we can.
They're very busy, Paul. They're very busy.
Well, if you decide to, on the YouTube description we can always update it, and in fact on the podcast description we can always update it. Now this is obviously this is going to go in the bank and get queued up, so this probably won't get released for about 4 to 5 weeks now anyway, at least. So there's plenty of time to ask him and see if he wants to, and it doesn't matter even if it's in a year's time, mate. We can just come back and update the information on this podcast. Because the whole point of these is a repository of experiences and information for people to listen to in case they just want to.
That is actually only a very small portion as well of the automation that I do. That's just almost like the end result. There's a little bit more at the beginning as well, which is actually acquiring the work and trying to advertise in different ways and different methods. It could literally just be through marketing or through business cards. There are ways of either using different phone numbers or different email addresses and things like that.
I've seen you've done leaflet drops as well, haven't you?
I have done leaflet drops, and everything that I do either has a different email address on it or it has a different phone number on it.
So you can check it and see how it performs.
And there are apps and softwares, and it is not as expensive as what you would think it would be. It could be a couple of quid to buy a different phone number. And you can, as people ring them, you can see what form of advertising, or whether it could be word of mouth, magazines, websites, whatever. You can find out what's working, what isn't working. So you know where to invest your money and what to pull out of, or maybe what to change. So
another top tip.
Yeah. I also incorporate apps such as Zapier. If no one's heard of Zapier, it absolutely. Do you know, it takes a little while to get your head into it, but Zapier is like the heart of my company at the moment because.
What's it called? Sorry, how to spell it? Zapia?
Zapier, I think.
Zapier. Okay, Zapier. Yeah, fine.
Now, what that does, I mean, there's actually another app which is it Ifttt? If this, then do that, or something like that. Ifttt, I think, is very similar, but Zapier is a slightly better version. Now, what that does is it's almost like a translator that makes one app communicate with another app. So you could, if you want to do something social media based, you could say every time I write a certain word on Facebook, I want you to put that post also on Twitter. You can literally, you could say every time I put a post on Facebook, I want Alexa to turn my lights on in the house. You can literally really go mental on it. I've got things where if I receive an email with a certain word in, I will want another email to go out with this information on. And I'll give you an example. There's so many things. But
Luke, can I just say while you're thinking that you have absolutely blown away the ninja, who is dumbfounded and stunned silence that there is all this technology out there, and yet listening to you, we feel really stupid. Which is fantastic.
I'm typing invoices manually, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, we are so cavemen in the way we work. It's mind blowing. You are a breath of fresh air, sir. This is mind blowing stuff, because for us, this opens up whole new possibilities of feeling really dumb and stupid while learning all these new things. Yeah. Dave will tell you, I am currently learning Instagram. Boy, do I feel dumb. Now you've just given me another 2 apps to go, and you're now saying that you can open up WhatsApp and turn Facebook and turn your lights on. My God.
Yeah, it's absolutely, and you can make it do multiple things as well. It doesn't have to be one app controls another app. It could be one app controls 2 apps, or one app controls another app, which controls another app, like Domino's. I've got ones where if I was to send a quotation out, I'll copy myself in, so I also receive a copy of this quotation. If I put a series of letters in the subject bar, Zapier will know to send out a certain email, so many days afterwards. So I could send a quotation to somebody, and they could receive an email with a certain video in it, or they could receive an email, 3 days later saying, "Hey, did you receive that quotation by any chance?" Sometimes it does fall into people's junk folders. And then it maybe from once that one's gone out, it's got another piece of code in it that tells Zapier to release another email 10 days later. I've got ones where here's one for people with checker trades. A lot of people struggle to get reviews. So what I've done is I've synced my Xero is an accounting software, that every time I was to issue an invoice, Zapier will send an email out, I think it may be the next day or the day after that, with links to my checker trade page, the actual review section, saying, "Hi, we did a job for you a couple of days ago. We'd really appreciate a review on checker trade. It really helps promote our business and keep the phone ringing."
Wow, that's amazing stuff.
So just while he's been talking, by the way, I have downloaded.
I've noticed Paul's head's down. He's obviously downloading it on his phone.
So I have downloaded that app, Ifttt.
I've never personally used Ifttt. I think that was the original one, which is free.
So Ifttt, it's free, and it's got Connect Everything. Last updated 2 years ago. It's number 125 on the App Store, and literally it connects Dropbox, Evernote, Instagram, Twitter, basically all of your apps talk to each other, which is just mind blowing.
Yeah, you could write a blog, and you could use Ifttt to upload that blog to multiple different places once you've sent it. Wow, there you go. There's a top tip then for the smartphone using generation. Ifttt, have a play around with that.
It does, because it sounds like these are great innovations for someone who is still a very small scale business to perform. Like, there'll be businesses that'll have people employed to do this kind of work, or have like huge costly software to do this, but it sounds like you've found some very affordable innovations to do basically the same kind of stuff.
It didn't happen overnight, and it took a lot of tweaking, and there's still more tweaking going on, but it has definitely helped free up a lot of my time. So like I said earlier, if you do tasks more than once, you've got to either delegate it or automate it, and there's a lot of automation going on behind the scenes.
This is something I'm very, very aware of, because I've been listening to some people about your time. If you're the business, or if you don't want to waste time doing this other stuff, if that's going against your time driving your business and gaining more business, if you're bogged down doing all this other bullshit. So any innovations like that is a great idea, I think.
I am totally blown away by that. Well, hopefully, and do you know what I like is the fact of the matter is you've come on to this podcast again, and you're sharing your experiences. You're openly telling us it's not perfect, but you're seeing a benefit. You're imparting some valuable insights that some people may be just too swamped under, and will always be swamped under. These things, if they help one person, it is worth. I've always said to Dave and all the lads, doing these podcasts. If we do 1,000 podcasts and then stop, and all of our knowledge sits in these. If it helps one person or saves one life or makes people safer or helps somebody have a better family life, it's worth every minute of it. And that's invaluable.
And with that in mind, obviously, if you're listening to this, don't forget these are on YouTube. So add a comment below on the YouTube channel and give us information about what software you're using. If you're using something similar, newer or older, that you think is doing the same thing or maybe could be better, that that ourselves and even Luke can look at, because it sounds like it's something that's always kind of being tested to go to the next phase.
Most certainly, that is a valid point. So please, if you're listening to us in your car, don't forget all these are on YouTube. So please comment away. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. If you want to come on to these podcasts and impart your own knowledge and experience, you are more than welcome to co-host with one of us. It's not a problem at all. Shall we move on from this? Unless you have any other questions to our next thing we were going to talk about, or do you want to talk any more about innovations? And
I think I want to have a play with this software, and I might have some questions later on. Should we move on to talk, was it YouTube or social media?
Yes. So Luke, we did as you know, we try and get out to the elect shows. I think last year we absolutely went into meltdown with all the elect shows that we actually attended. It was quite overwhelming. This year I think we're gonna try and get out, but not all of us as a group. We'll probably still do Coventry, but we won't. Last one was very intense for us. I think it's fair to say that we needed a holiday after the last one. It was emotionally and physically just draining and overwhelming for us. But while we were there, we recorded a ramble, which is on YouTube, and it was myself, Dave, John Ward, and Dan Jackson. Dan's the engineer. And we were talking about advice to YouTubers because, my God, if I could turn back time 2 years ago, there wasn't that many electricians doing YouTube. Now there are absolutely loads of them. I mean, literally every other week, Dave, we're finding someone new or a new channel popping up. And
well, to be honest, I mean, I don't watch a lot of YouTube because I'm so busy doing all this other stuff with Sparky Ninja as well. And I actually do feel that I'm basically going without because of that, because you get so much good stuff on YouTube. And when I do go back, I do go to some of the good resources I know, like some of the old lectures from MIT, etc. But I'll be honest, I mean, a couple of lads are quite popular at the moment who, Nick Bundy and Jay Beck. Yeah,
they seem to be the two.
They were at
Coventry.
They were at Coventry, and I didn't know who they were, but they could have come up and said hello to me or whatever, and I probably wouldn't know who they were. But then after I find out they've actually got thousands of subscribers on YouTube, and I was like, oh, they've just sprung up. But I mean, I think he's just hit 5K, hasn't he?
One of them. Jay Beck has. He's hit 5K.
I can't remember his name.
Nick Bundy is on about 8,000 odd, and fair play to him because Nick Bundy only started, I believe, this year. So in this year, he's grown, but he's a charismatic young chap.
Wasn't he? It was giveaways and
he does his giveaways. He's a charismatic young lad. He's very open and honest.
Yeah.
One of my favourite videos of his is when he was drilling for a wall and he completely cocked it up, and he could have easily just edited it out. He drilled through the wall from a centre column and he drilled into the wrong room.
Oh, that's right.
He's going outside light. He basically, in all the plan, he's going from the outside light. He's going to go drill in and come out where the back box is being chased. He's going to catch the chase.
Yeah.
He started it and then he cut out and then he went, oh, where is it? He went around into the living room and he drilled into the living room. I thought, full respect though, you could have easily just cut that out, but he completely exposed himself to that, and I've liked him ever since.
I like that as well because at the end of the day, we all make mistakes, and I think that's it. That's to me really is the measure of a man. That's a real test of strength where you can show your weaker sides. I've made huge biblical cock-ups in my time. I wouldn't have a problem with putting them on YouTube if there was a camera around. I think it shows greater strength in showing your weaknesses, and I've always watched this stuff and I liked it. But the one thing I loved recently was the one where he was talking. He did like almost a stop video where he talked about mental health and his dad and the passing. That blew me away. That got me going. That was quite an emotional.
Yeah, that caught a lot of people out, that one, didn't it?
But we've also got the likes of Tom Nargi, who does his stuff. And I think Tom, well, I'll be sitting with Tom very soon. He'll be doing a podcast with me very soon, which will be really interesting to get to chit chat with him, because we've been talking quite a lot of him, haven't we? There's some other guys out there that are I'm not going to mention names because I was always said if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say it. But we did a video trying to say, look, please try and be socially responsible. That we have no. I think there's so many, and tell me if I'm wrong here, guys. There are so many people doing YouTube content at the moment. Here's a theory, because someone at work said this to me, and it freaked me out a bit. And he was a facilities manager, and he said, if all these sparks are doing YouTube, are you putting yourself out of a job? Because if you're showing people everything you're doing, why do I need an electrician? Why don't I just go on YouTube and watch them, find what they've done, and then just copy it? And I thought, no. We don't. Nobody's stupid enough to show everything that they do in every single minutiae level of detail. But with the increasing volume of content, there is that risk that the DIYer may actually find enough information across the YouTube channels to actually undertake work, which is quite a worrying thought.
I think blind Googling it, I was going to do it anyway. At least they'd be a little bit better.
No, and it's very true. And I'm one of the things that scares me the most is there is a lot of impressionable youngsters who live on YouTube who watch stuff. Dave, you were telling us a very strange story about a youngster contacting you. I'm because I'm a bit sad. I've kind of learnt health and safety legislation quite a lot, and I know eventually that in time there will be a precedent set in law where someone's going to get, I genuinely believe that someone's going to get hurt one day, and they will be a big fan of a YouTuber. It doesn't matter who it is. And the family of that person who's injured, hopefully they don't get killed, will solely put all the blame at the YouTuber. And I know on a lot of YouTubers, they say, please don't copy us. I mean, on our channel, we say, this isn't aimed for DIYers. This is just engineers, electricians. But all it will take is that one incident, and then YouTube will have to act, especially if it's a public outcry. And that worries me, to be honest with you, because and we spoke about this in our podcast about we might want to be a bit selective as to what advice we give and how we indemnify ourselves and what we show people we're doing. You know, the whole testing, I don't know if I'd be showing the ins and outs of testing. But again, you're right, Luke. You know, you can go find it anywhere, I suppose. It's publicly available information. It's I'm a bit worried, really, I suppose, about the whole YouTube community. Not in a bad way, because everyone I met, I mean, the first time I met you, Luke, do you remember the first time we met?
I remember the first time I met you, but I don't know if you remember it. I met you at, I think it might have been an NIC event, actually, and I asked for my E5 badge, which I'd originally asked for on Twitter and hadn't received. And I've actually got a picture of it as well.
That's right. And then I was like, oh, who's this chap? And then when you walked away, I freaked out because I went, oh my God, my brain, the cogs, the mice, realized who you were because I was watching your videos and I recognized your face. And I went, oh my God, shit, that was my trusted electrician. Shit, oh my God. It is a bit weird though. Dave knows this. You get people coming up to you. When we were at Alex, we had person after person after person coming up and saying, oh, I've emailed you, I've messaged you, whatever. And my filing cabinet can't just pull that person's face out of the drawer and go, hello, John, hello, Mark, hello, Steve, hello, Ian, hello, Luke. You just can't do it. And that's where it just gets emotionally and mentally just overwhelming, doesn't it? Because it's just like...
Well, the problem is everyone knows you equally in that they know you, they've seen you online, they've seen you do this stuff. And you I try to maintain eye contact, but then my eyes drift down to their name tag to see if I can get a clue as to who they are. And I'm still like, Then I find out later on, all these people on Twitter were there, came up, and either I didn't get to speak to them or they spoke to me and I didn't know who they were, all from the Twitter fam. It is a bit of a...
It's embarrassing to an extent. It's embarrassing. I had a guy come up to me and he had a right good natter, and we put the world to rights for about half an hour, and I was looking down at his badge to try and see his name, and then afterwards he did something on Twitter and I was like, Holy shit, we have spent years talking on Twitter. I really like this bloke, and yet face to face he looks. This is why I have grave concerns over Twitter accounts where you don't see the face of the person you're talking to. I mean, everybody knows the E5 Twitter account is me and my Sparky Jedi one, but I just find it really weird when you've got these weird Twitter accounts where you can't see them. Because
I mean, in our case, you click us and you go to a video profile, so our identity is fairly easy to find. Although I still get some idiots wondering, who I am in Facebook yesterday.
Excuse me, just to be clear here, okay? I get asked if I am Sparky Ninja, right? And I always say, yeah, I'm his fatter older brother, right? About a year ago, I was wearing my GSH electrical top, and people were coming up to me and they were going, do you know Gary? And I was like, yeah, I'm his fat. I stole his T-shirt. I ate him for breakfast. Like, it was really weird for me. But last week I was in a college, and somebody, as I walked into college, they just stopped, went to their mate. Oh my God, that bloke's on YouTube. And that freaked me out, because the minute I heard that, I turned around. I walked up and shook his hand. I went, mate, it's your phone. I'm Paul. Really nice to meet you. I don't know who you are, but I'm really nice to meet you. And he was totally freaked out by it, which I don't like. I'll be honest with you. And me and Dave always said this: we're not YouTube addicts.
John Ward's a bit the same. Yeah, John and I were standing side by side on that stand, and people were queuing up to say hello to us. And there was one gentleman who works at a college in northern London, and he was just very insistent that we both came to his college, and he'll look after us. He was saying in his East Asian accent or whatever it was, but he'll look after us. And there were about 5 or 6 young lads who were basically standing there gawking at us, waiting for this guy to go. And John was just being very polite, as he is.
He's always polite.
And I was just basically trying to get this guy to fuck off, but he kept trying to talk to John. It is. I mean, going back to this, there are. I mean, I look at the demographic of my YouTube now and then just to know if I'm dead yet to YouTube, because I had a period of time of absence. And obviously, my main viewers are 25 to 35, but then obviously this younger 18 to 25, there's a fairly good percentage of viewers there, and that kind of gave me that understanding that a lot of young lads who are either thinking of trades or are starting in trades, they have a tap on to this huge resource of YouTube content now, which wasn't always there 10 years ago when I was obviously on the tools or coming out of 20 years ago when I was on the tools or coming out of training, etc. I had the NICIC DVDs. I had some media online, the Chris Kitcher testing videos. Remember those? That was it. The resource was basically, there were 2, maybe 3 resources, and that's why I found a lot of stuff over in the US from the MIT and all those, and that's why I love those physics lectures. But young lads today don't need to go over there. They can just go and they can find such a variety now of YouTubers, and I guess that there's no harm in YouTubers doing that. What we do need to make sure is that we just need to make sure that we stress the importance of taking the job seriously for these young lads.
Well, and this is the thing. So when there's ever an incident or a problem in a court, normally the courts will always look for expert witnesses, and with a lot of things, a court will want an expert witness to maybe a chartered engineer or something like that, or someone with who's very high standing within the industry, and people who go through that process of professional registration have a framework of behaviors to adopt. And one of the things that you will always do as a professionally registered engineer, or just an engineer with common sense, is make sure you do the right thing if you're projecting or representing your business or your image. Now, there are people who have companies who just make their companies look really dumb on social media. I mean, there was one incident, and I love him to bits, by the way, Artisan, the guy from Cambridge. What an absolute sweetheart. It sounds really weird, but I love his smile. I love his energy. Really, really nice, sweet guy. I want to give him a hug. But he did a video where he used a volt stick to prove isolation, and he got tore to pieces for it. I put a comment on and said, look, regardless of what your NIC engineer says, it's not good practice. We don't want to encourage bad practices. We want to upskill people. And he took it brilliantly. And his response, you could have framed it. It was world class. It was very humble. It was there wasn't any sarcasm in it. and he immediately said, yeah, I'm going to show people the right way of doing things. And, you know, hat off to him, round of applause, absolutely bang on. I love Delroy the Spark. I think Delroy the Sparks is Delroy reminds me of Sparks I went to in Tottenham College. I think it's wicked. I love him to bits.
When he's sort of like reminisces about when he was doing his apprenticeship and stuff.
He's old school, man. He's old school. Honestly, I could sit in a van with Delroy for hours and put the world to rights. But there is one or two I'm not going to name who have done. They're new to it, and some of their installs. You look at them, and I know Dave knows what I'm talking about. And you think you shouldn't even be filming this because this is not a good electrical installation at all. And I'm going to leave it there.
There are some that are trying to make it for the sake of YouTube as well. They're not really thinking about the content, and I guess it's just. I guess we're part to blame, Luke, really, for starting.
I hate that word. I hate that word, content, because it's content for the sake of content.
Yeah.
For me, I'll be honest with you. For me, the YouTube stuff that I'm doing, and again, I'm nowhere at the level of the GSH, the Daves, the John Wards, or anything else, and I don't profess to be. But for me, I'm going to look back at all of the stuff that I'm, whether it's on my channel or GSH, with fond memories. For me, it's a repository of my career as well as my experience and knowledge. So, we're working, there's some technical videos we're working on, RCDs and AFDDs. Hopefully I'll be able to do some emergency lighting stuff and put my skill set to more use in the new year. Again, if I don't have to work a 60, 70 hour week. And it will slowly come out when it's ready. As Dave said, there's more qualitative aspect to it than there is just the pumping out the numbers. I think the one good thing about these podcasts is it's a very free, quick, easy way of bouncing off each other, as you would do when you're in the van going, right, I've got a problem today, this is what I've got to do, I could really do with some advice. And that's where I think these podcasts probably could do with more guys. I was going to suggest, do you think, Luke, we could maybe get Stephen Skillen to do one of these at some point?
Yeah,
if he deems us worthy to come on here, I would love to know more about him and his career and all the challenges that he has, especially in his new job. It'd be great to have him on.
Yeah, I think he's really happy there as well at the moment. I was supposed to do this podcast yesterday, wasn't I? I was actually with Steve.
Were you really?
Well, with me and Steve, because he's with my ex. We sort of share a son, and what we do is we do the drop off once a fortnight. So I will meet him halfway. He lives up in Corby. He'll come down, go up, we meet halfway.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it at all. Oh, right. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Wow, okay. I didn't know that at all.
Oh, that's common knowledge.
There's a revelation for the Ifttt podcast there. Oh, as long as you get on, and that's the most important thing.
That's all fine.
Who's Steve Skillen?
How dare
Sorry.
you. Stephen Skillen makes my Jedi prowess look amateurish. He is off the charts. He would make you feel dumb just if he was within 50 miles of you.
I feel dumb already. Do I know?
Yeah, no. Stephen Skillen is a compliance manager for ECS compliance services. He was a spark. If you remember, we filmed some birthday videos for him. Do you remember? We did some happy birthday videos.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Yes,
was that him?
That's Stephen Skillen.
Did he bump into us at Coventry?
I think he did.
At the end.
Yeah, he rang me up straight afterwards. He was really chuffed.
See, this is the thing, Luke. I mean, faces I know, names I don't. Yeah. Right. Okay. I know who you're talking about now. Sorry.
It's a lovely chat. And to anybody who is listening to this, by the way, who's come up to us and said we like the podcast, thank you very, very, very much. And I think I've told everybody, please feel free to volunteer yourself. Come on here, talk about something. Everybody is worthy of coming on this. Everybody has a story to tell. For me, these podcasts are about sharing of knowledge and a repository of stories, because they may help somebody, and I think that's really important. But YouTube, I think it's great. It's dynamic. I don't agree with content for the sake of content. I would rather it be qualitative, but everybody's got their place.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to start making more content just so YouTube doesn't like bury me underground again. But
delete your channel.
Yeah, but obviously in the new year, I'm hopefully launching some stuff, so I can hopefully start driving some content on there then. But Luke, I mean, your channel was initially to drive obviously transparency and awareness for your local community, but Have you now expanded to just general YouTube content in your view, generalized, or are you still focusing on the local?
I think it has gone. I'll be honest, I don't really know what I'm doing. I just pick it up and I just film, and it's as long as people are watching it, I'll keep doing it.
Yeah, you don't feel any obligation to create regular content.
I do sometimes feel a little bit pressured.
Yeah, it can be stressful, can't it?
It can, yeah. It does take the fun out of it a little bit when you have to do something. It's not quite as fun as when you do it through choice. But I do enjoy it, and the comments are amazing. Like I'm really fortunate. I thought I'd be sort of blown out of the water of like really negative comments. You've done this wrong. I remember having sort of heart palpitations once because I did a shed and I didn't put any premature collapse protection around the shed, and I was thinking I didn't even I needed premature. I mean, what's the scenario? What's going to happen in this shed? Is there a guy in there and then there's a fire and he hasn't noticed in this one room, and then the fire brigade come and how's this going to... But someone brought it up, and I thought, oh my god, I've effed up. Everyone's seen it, but I mean, apart from that, I've had some really nice comments. I've been really, really fortunate.
Some of the comments you get, I think Tom Nagy said it best. No matter how much you do, no matter how much you try, there will always be someone who want to kick you in the bollocks, regardless. And the worst thing is, there's a lot of the stuff we respond to on social media is because of stupidity. I mean, there was one recent one where people were talking about what is an engineer, and an engineer is not a protected title unless you're professionally registered like Eng Tech, iEng or CEng. It's not a protected title. Anyone can call themselves it, and yet there are loads of morons trolling people going, oh well, you know, a 20 years experienced electrician is not an engineer. Says who? I mean, fucking get over yourselves. What is wrong with you morons? But they'll play keyboard warrior. And also one of the things that I totally agree with, again, Mr. Nagy said it, is there is a lot of these people, because Dave knows, I like to go head on to the trolls.
Yes, you do. And then you call me afterwards and you tell me what you just done.
Yeah, then I go fucking for the giblets, to be honest with you, because I won't tolerate it, and I'll try and educate them as best I can. I won't do it disrespectfully, but if you're going to be a fucking moron on a bell end, I'll try and re-educate you. And if I can't, then I'll just block you.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, because I can't be asked if you're just going to be a negative arsehole. But one thing that I've come to realise is, Tom said it to me, was a lot of them are quite... Well, it's part of this, Dave, you'll agree here. We have been trolled over the years, and we've hated the trolling. But when we've actually dug deep under the surface, it's quite dark. And that person may have had some very disturbing family challenges, or deaths in the family, or, you know, stuff you wouldn't wish on anyone who draws breath. So then you immediately have to be, you have to have a level of enhanced compassion for your fellow human and go, oh yeah, okay, fine, right, I'll just take my kicking and walk on and not wish these horrible things that are going on in your life.
Yeah, there are many that will always have that. They'll always have that feeling of entitlement to troll against anything that you produce, anything that you say, and you can either go toe to toe with them, knowing that will get nowhere, and if you actually then understand them more, then you can just kind of I don't know, brush it off and move on. I remember when I first started YouTube, about 3 or 4 months in, I started uploading, and about 6 months after that, Dan obviously was trying to track me down for E5, right?
He was.
And he messaged me on YouTube, but when I opened that message, I noticed I had a message from Tom Nagy 2 or 3 months earlier. I didn't know where to read the messages from YouTube. I didn't know I could do direct messages. And he messaged me, and it was just a nice introductory message to say, look, great content, love your stuff, but just be aware that you will get trolls, and just take it as it goes. And he gave me a lovely message, just letting me know what the journey of YouTube could be like, and just gave me a huge kind of welcome and good luck with it. And ever since that, I've always kind of just, always tried to give them as much respect and attention as I can.
Yeah.
But trolls, we're very. It's a case
I think we're semi-experts in them now. I mean, I've blocked a number of people on Twitter. I have no problem in blocking people with Twitter, because I will always message them first and tell them why I'm blocking them, and then block them. And that way they can screenshot whatever they want and put it on Twitter behind my back.
Yeah.
And then at least I can then, if I find out about it, put the full conversations online for transparency. Although I've never had to do that, luckily. But we have found that we've been targeted by groups of people. That's fair to say, literally, who've just on drunk Friday nights been trying to call us out, and sometimes we've bitten because maybe naivety, stupidity. But now we're just of that point of.
Some also who have been trolling us have actually been part of our family for a short period of time.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You know, and so it's, you know, we have to sometimes have that offer of a branch, but then we realize they just want to snap that branch and then poke us back with it. And so sometimes we have been a little bit too generous in our communications in return.
Yeah.
But also just recently we've had, obviously, not necessarily trolling, but we've been like played around with by having companies like block accounts and unblock accounts, and then I had a guy message me last week, and then 2 days later, because I didn't respond, he's blocked me on LinkedIn, and I'm like, all I've done is nothing.
Yeah,
that's all I've done. All I've actually done is nothing, but he's blocked and unblocked, and then contacted and recontacted, and then unblocked on LinkedIn, all because my community on Facebook has had a discussion about something.
The trouble is as well, there is a lot of people will be very too quick to judge, and I watch on Twitter, which I think is the most dangerous of social media.
Yeah.
It's you can't explain everything, and I mean on the E5 account, I've just said, look, on like the safe isolations, for instance, the arguments and debates. Twitter is not a place to have that debate. Twitter, you could post a statement on it maybe, but you can't have an engaging debate, because one thing that becomes a very sensitive battlefield is this is people's livelihoods.
Yeah.
And it becomes very delicate. And I've always said, do you remember the golden rule of when you're in work in a trade, you never fuck with another man's money. And when you start criticizing another trade, it becomes very, very sensitive. And I just don't think it's the right place to have them debates. But hopefully in the new year, we'll be able to clarify stuff, because me and Dave, we're hopefully going to do, I've done a lot of research with the gas safe people and the IET. I've got lots of questions that I've asked, and I've got different responses. So be an interesting new year. Right. Anyway, lads, do we have anything else to add to this other than just the general message to YouTubers? Please be careful and considered in your content, and we wish you nothing but success and support and all the best in your endeavours. Do you have anything else to add, Luke?
Just expect you are going to get those horrible messages. You just got to get fixed. You just got to get thick skin, and it's not the end of the world. I mean, I think it's maybe stronger.
Yeah.
The first time you start getting messages like that, it does affect you, and you might lose a little bit of sleep. But I think eventually you do get a little bit stronger if you carry on with it.
Mm-hmm. Dave, anything from you?
Pretty much the same. At first, I try to respond to every message and take everything very seriously, but it gets to that point where there's so much chat coming your way, especially as I have other communities as well, where I just spend a lot of time now just filtering it. All you can do really is focus on putting outputs onto the internet that you are proud of, you agree with, and just stick by that message. And if you do learn from it, then learn from it and improve. That's it. Yeah. As long as we keep improving.
And I'm terrible for it. It's very difficult having a full-time job. I mean, I've got 181 emails sat on the E5 email box asking for badges and all sorts. So I'm going to be spending most of my Boxing Day and the few days in between putting badges in envelopes and going to the post office. And so apologies. We work full-time. We prioritize based on the needs of individuals who come to us and ask for help, and also content that we feel is really important to get out in a structured way. And as I think this year's been evident, we've been run off our feet as a group, as well as individuals. So on that bombshell, best of luck to everybody on YouTube. Let's all jointly ignore the trolls and help make the industry a safer and better place for everybody. And until the next one, take care of yourself and each other. Bye-bye.